I'll have a create about it. Hey everybody, welcome back to yet another episode of Chip Theory Games TV. I have with me Logan, and the two of us will be introing the show. So today we have two things planned. Number one, we're going to show off a bit about Victorum. We've got some new information to share, some exciting stuff there, and after that, immediately after that, the great Shannon will be doing a playthrough of Burn Cycle. That's very exciting too. That's going to be a couple of hours as well, so stay tuned for both. Before we dive in, I wanted to introduce Logan. Logan is the latest member to join our team at Chip Theory. We are very excited to have Logan. Logan's actually been with us for a little while now. He's been working on Victorum with us and some other projects as well. But I wanted to get Logan to give him a chance to share a little bit about his background. Yep.
Yeah, if there's one thing that I don't like talking about, it's myself, so I'm going to keep this pretty short. I've been in game design and puzzle design for the better part of a decade now. I actually am immediately coming from escape rooms and puzzle making. I have a little company called the Enigma Emporium that makes puzzle games, so it's kind of game design, kind of not game design. As Adam mentioned, I've been working with Chip Theory on and off in various capacities for a little while, most recently part-time working on Victorum. And, you know, it's not a great time for escape rooms, so as that kind of waned, it was a good time for me to come on board here. It was fantastic timing, because I'm very excited to be here.
That's awesome, that's awesome. Okay, and by the way, you guys, we're going to do a live Q&A specifically regarding Victorum after we do our little sneak peek, right?
Yep, so get your questions in.
Feel free to add your questions. We've got Heather and Amanda who are working behind the scenes on the camera, and they will be helping facilitate the questions. And but we'll get to those after we show off Victorum, okay? All right, so let's dive in. One of the first things we wanted to cover was sort of a product overview, right? So we've shared a little bit about Victorum and what we call Remastered. This is two separate products, right? So Remastered is essentially a combination of the original two Hoplomachus games, The Lost Cities, Rise of Rome. What we've done is we've kind of merged the two games together, all the parts, including the add-ons, all the factions, everything. We kind of trimmed the fat, is what I would call it, and then polished it up. And actually, there ended up being quite a bit of change in terms of, there's all new art. Anthony Latorno, who is doing the Burn Cycle art, is very soon pivoting to Victorum art. And by the way, we asked Anthony to finish up one of our, a single hero piece for Victorum. And he just finished it last night, and it is fantastic. We just saw it, and we can't wait to show it off to you again later. So we're just going to kind of throw that teaser out, but there is a piece of art that will really showcase the feel and the drive behind Victorum. So, okay, the product. So, Remastered is going to be a major game. Yep, and this is essentially the games combined, cleaned up. We've got new art, we've got new rules, we've got all of that polishing going on, and there's not really too much. Yeah, we'll be sharing more about that as soon as it gets developed. We wanted to take today to really showcase the other game that's being made, and that's Victorum. So Victorum, while it's actually taking a bit of the Hoplomachus Origins game, so if you guys are familiar with the series, we've got the smaller arenas and those, right? We really, really liked it, and the customers have spoken. They love the tighter tactical combat, whatever. So we kind of leaned heavily into that for Victorum. We developed it into a bit of a campaign mode and whatnot, but yes, sorry, I just saw my notes here and I moved on from Remastered a little early. But anyway, so let me go back to Remastered really quick before I forget. So we also wanted to share that while Remastered is getting all of this polish and whatnot, it's important to note that it's still going to be a solo, co-op, and PvP game, just like Hoplomachus of old is, okay? So we're not changing much of the gameplay and whatnot, so it still has the classic feel, right? Now, Victorum is a solo-only game, and I think we've talked about this before, but I cannot stress enough how important it is that it is so awesome that you literally just control your hero. You go on your journey. Yes, there's a bit of a squad tactics feel, and you are essentially controlling a few other gladiators within the same arena, but at its heart, it's not a co-op game. It is a true solo game, and it's a massive one at that. So that's very exciting. I'm kind of jumping around. Have I skipped anything so far?
I don't think so. I think as far as the remastered set goes, it's basically it's a chance to take the years of chip theory experience and development
Sure.
and quality that has come since the original Hoplo came out and just bring it up to speed. Cut the things that didn't work, kind of roll it into one big streamlined package that feels like a modern chip theory game.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Yep. So for Victorum, and let's just go through the list of things that we wanted to talk about. I know we've shared a little bit of information about Victorum, but some of it may be review. But why don't we just kind of go through what we wanted to show off today?
Yeah, I think setting and theme is probably a good place to start.
Yeah.
Original Hoplo was very grounded. It was very historical, from the gladiator names to even the historical reenactment modules. It was a very historical game. Victorum is going to pivot a little bit from that. It's more, I would call it historical fantasy. If you know the story blurb that dropped a few months back, basically it's you versus Pluto. Pluto wants to destroy the Earth, and you're trying to keep that from happening. So already there's kind of that fantasy overtone, and the game itself is going to weave that in a lot more. There will be fantasy elements side by side to those historical elements. So setting-wise, it's going to feel a little bit different from original Hoplo in that regard.
Sure. Yes. Thank you, Logan. Yeah, so as we show you the overview, we'll kind of give you a snapshot of what is actually half of the world map. So this is going to be a double-sided piece, and there's going to be, as you can see, 4 times 2, there's 8 arenas. Now, for those of you who are familiar with the Origins game, how distinct and different Atlantis, El Dorado, Xanadu were, we've really expounded upon that and now made 8 dynamically different arenas to do battle on, and they all feel like their own puzzles in a way. You have certain arena rules that you have to adhere to, and then of course there's the AI gladiator combinations, and then what you have in your squad, and let's talk about that a little bit. So why is each game going to be different from each other? Even if I'm in the same arena in back-to-back battles, what is going to be different from the first and the second battle? There's a couple of things I can think of.
So, again, those of you who are familiar with Origins, remember that kind of each arena had different goals. Now, what we've done here is each arena has different rule sets. So each arena is going to behave in a different way, but your goal itself is not coming from the arena you're in. So as you travel around this map, you're taking events, from different decks, and those events are going to dictate what you're trying to do for each of those, not necessarily combats, but basically each event that you take. So your goals are going to vary on top of those arena rules. So you may be trying, just have a fight to the death. You versus them, try to kill them before they kill you. But again, that's going to interact with those arena rules. But you may have a King of the Hill fight where you have to occupy certain hexes for a certain amount of time, which is going to interact completely differently with those arena rules. And there's going to be a capture the flag mode, capture the pennant mode, if you will, where you have to go, capture something, get it back to your starting position. And again, these all behave very differently with those. So it becomes, as you travel across this world map, a deeply ingrained part of your plan to look and go, well, do I want to take this kind of event in this arena, or maybe go there because that type will be a little bit easier for me to handle with my current build of gladiators.
You bet. I just realized that we didn't reiterate up front, and we will say it again. So again, we are talking about, this is an early prototype, right? And
so wait, it's not going to be cardboard? I thought this was our first cardboard project.
I mean, yeah, no, this will be neoprene, right? So, anyways, So as we talk about these different components, just know, just a big asterisk comes with everything that we say. Everything is subject to sharing you, the excitement behind it, and how well it's coming together. But just know that this is prototype. The game is still in development. Some of you, I know, were hoping for a complete playthrough and whatnot.
Not just yet.
Yeah, exactly. So now, back to, yes, so the difference from the different fights. You talked about King of the Hill, you talked about Capture the Flag. So are you telling me that I would be able to do each of those modes on each arena? And how does that even work? So how do I do Capture the Flag on this arena versus this one? And why is that different? Why does that matter? And it sounds like that's very interesting, because Capture the Flag is all about really movement, and that seems to lean heavy towards the tacticians, right? King of the Hill, I can only think of defenders, those big beefy guys. Stick them on that arena hex and hold their position. Yes, exactly. So it does sound like you almost want, you do want a well-rounded squad, but at the same time you also want to specialize, and that's hard to choose. How do you gain and lose gladiators again?
Yes, so as you travel, sometimes lethal fights will happen where you'll lose a gladiator in the fight, and if it was a lethal combat, you will not get that gladiator back. The upside to that, small upside, is that you can then recruit another gladiator to fill that spot. You will also have options as you go to swap gladiators out. If you win a combat and you like one of those gladiators a little better than somebody on your team, you might be able to nudge somebody off your team and bring somebody else on. But as Adam was saying, you really can't specialize. You really can't say, well, I'm just going to go all attackers and archers and murder the enemy, because you'll then hit that King of the Hill fight or that Capture the Flag fight and you won't be able to win. It will be impossible.
No.
There's.
By the way, you guys, I apologize about the noise. If you can hear the noise, we've said it before. We're super excited about moving to our new location. We will not have noisy neighbors at this new spot. We're pretty sure. So that's exciting. And it'll be a different AV room and whatnot. So soon and very soon we will be there. But anyways, I think we got everything that was shared. Yeah, and as we look at the board, I'm seeing some subtle differences between this area and as I move. So the object of the game, ultimately, because you're not going to travel around directionless, right? So you choose a hero to play, you're developing it, you've got your squad, and you're seeking out specific other heroes, represented by the AI, and you have to take them down, and there's a series of those.
I think this is a good time to talk about the hero arc a little bit, too, because it ties into this. You start, basically, your hero is no better, and in some cases, arguably, a little bit worse than your average gladiator. They're going to start out weak, their attack is not very strong, their hit points are, so-so, but they're not up to the level of what you would expect from, a champion or a, big beefy hero who's going to go and, defeat Pluto or, whoever the final boss of a given game is going to be. So the arc of this game is you start as this fairly weak hero, and you are traveling around this world trying to get strong enough that you can go to Vesuvius and defeat one of the scions of Pluto that Pluto has sent to destroy the Earth. And you're going to do this by going around, taking these events, leveling up your hero, building your team, and you are also, as Adam was mentioning, you're going to try and defeat 3 champions of other cities to sort of prove your worth. So while you have your hero who starts out weak, the enemy heroes do not start out weak. They're big, they're powerful, they're kind of what you aspire to be. And at the start of the game, you randomly select 3 of those, and they're all tied to different regions on this double-sided map. And so I have to go to these spots and get to Vesuvius. So you have a goal, you have that kind of end game in mind, and generally speaking, how you want to chart your course. The specifics of it are up to you, though.
That's right, yeah. So I'm seeing, if my hero is here and I need to travel just simply westward over to this spot to take down this Primus, it looks like I have a couple of path options here. If I go the southern path, it's, A, C, A. So these are represented by different types of events, is that right? So A would be, say, that's the sport
Yep, could be King of the
event.
Hill or Capture the Flag,
Exactly.
or maybe a sparring match where you're trying to knock them out, but you don't die from it.
Sure. And then C would be some sort of event or opportunity that happens. It's more of a quick resolution thing.
Yeah, more of an instant bonus, instant effect. Something happens, but it's not a whole involved combat.
Sure. And then I see I have another A, and then I'm ready for the Primus. However, if I go north, there's an additional spot, so I can skip the C, but the B is represented by a lethal fight. Now, there are pros and cons with that. The lethal fights are probably a little easier, I would say, to win the battle. But the trick is to not lose any gladiators. So while you might, finish the battle and win victoriously, but if you lost your attacker, and then you ended up gaining a gladiator as a result, your net was just an even, you gained one, you lost one, right? So that's very interesting. And there are other rewards, of course. So I can see how I might go north as well and take an extra, what we're calling a week, right? So the game is really measured in a number of weeks that you're journeying through to get to the end, right? Right? So that's cool.
It's also worth bearing in mind that if you decide to take a path that maybe has a few more events, it's not always the best thing. Yes, you have a chance at more upgrades, you have a chance at more gladiators, but at the same time, you want to make sure your hero, who is involved in every combat, is not taking too much damage, because unlike the other units, and unlike what you may be used to with, Origins, your hero's health is not replenishing. Now, there are ways to replenish it that we won't get into now, but your hero's health is a meter that you have to pay very close attention to. It's very much a risk-reward, and if your hero loses all his health, you can guess what happens.
Wow, okay, so as I play the game, the hero, the character development, the health that you have to manage, I noticed that there's stacks of gladiators that are unique to each faction, right? And so all of those will come into play in a very dynamic way as you journey into the next region. You will start to encounter gladiators that are native to that area. That is so fascinating. And there's a general pool of gladiators, so when you come in contact with them, you may have an opportunity to recruit that specific gladiator. So if there's a specific archer that can, shoot, it has long range, and then it has, a stronger attack than your average archer, I might want to pursue that. So I will go to that region, and I will do a battle there or two, and see if I can fish out the archer, successfully complete the event, and then have a chance to recruit that archer for my team. But it sounds like what you're saying for the lethal fights. So if I put that archer up at risk, and I lose it in a lethal fight, it's gone forever until I get another one, right? Or do I save it for the future Primuses? And that's very interesting, because each Primus comes with a different set of strategies. So for the first Primus, I might want to try and get a couple of tacticians, because it's all about positional play, right? And the next Primus is maybe more about just the heavy hitting, so I'm going to want some defenders so I can at least take a couple of hits, so I might pivot my strategy halfway through the game, based on however I build that squad. There's just so much to get into, but that is exciting to me. All of that is just baked into what I would actually say, it's still a very simple game at its heart. I would say in terms of gameplay, it's identical to this. It is lighter than Burn Cycle, it's lighter than Cloud Spire, it's lighter than Bones. I think that we've really accomplished that. We baked in that campaign mode, and so now you have some out-of-combat decisions to make and whatnot, so that's exciting.
Plus, it lets those combats and those decisions carry over. So with Origins, one of the things we very much liked was that series of challenges that you have to achieve. You have all these different fights you have to take, but what we wanted to bring to Victorum was repercussion and reward. Depending on how you do and the choices you make and how you execute those choices, you're going to do better or you're going to hurt yourself, but it's going to carry through and affect the rest of your game.
Yes. Wow. So, have we really gone into detail on what exactly... Yeah, no, I think we covered all that. We covered the modes, the arenas, the components. I mean, there's just a ton of gladiators that are coming with Victorum. So each region comes with 3 unique gladiators There's 2 of each of those, so that's a stack of 6 gladiators each region. Plus you've got your heroes, the AI heroes. There's just a lot of, and all of these are different than the gladiators of old, right?
Yep.
And so we've polished that up. And a very important note. So while Remastered is its own game, Victorum is its own game, everything has been designed with each other in mind as well. So now, if I want to really bump up the replayability of Victorum, I can actually pick up Remastered and integrate the gladiators from those into Victorum for the AI and myself, and the other way is true as well. So if you want to play PvP and you want to use that special archer I was just talking about earlier, you can absolutely port these gladiators into that one and use them as part of your lineup.
Or if you find that gladiator in Remastered that you've got to have on your team, you'll just slip it in place of something else here and then head for that region.
Yes. Very good. So I think we've covered much of what we wanted to discuss today. We are definitely going to go into detail for the different regions at a later date. I think there's just a lot to say there. We want to talk about, we want an in-depth focus on all of the specific gladiators too. Right now our prototypes are mostly handwritten, so we won't go into depth about how different they are, but it is safe to say that there's some of the core effects that are true to the original. We've really baked in a lot of new stuff, new feeling skills, and we've really polished that up. I mean, ultimately, this is how I phrase it, but Hoplomachus was our flagship game, right? Mm-hmm. And so all of that art is public domain, and we really wanted to just give both Remastered and Victorium the chip theory treatment. So all of that polish is really going to start to come out. Yeah.
Speaking of art, is it about that time?
Oh, I don't know. Let's see if we should. I think our viewers want to see. So we have brand new art that was just finished last night by the great Anthony Latorno. Unbelievable. Let's show him that art. So it sounds like it's up, and everybody will just give you a second to take it all in. So Decimus. Who is Decimus? Decimus is our hero that is featured in New Argo. So Decimus is actually one of 7 heroes that will be coming in this game. So there's a hero that will be an option for you to play or to play against, right? So Decimus is unbelievable. It's really modeled from the Hoplomachus unit from Rome, of the original, but actually there's quite a bit of difference. Now, we're leaning a little heavier into the fantasy side of things, even though there's a little bit of the historical nature in it. The Hoplomachus, I still use that word, but ultimately, the game really lends itself well to fantasy as well. But Decimus was super excited. That is the art style that Victorum and Remastered are going to be. And it is serious fun. I mean,
I already made it my desktop background. That's how much I like that art piece that you're looking at.
We will show, so we'll share this image on the social media feed, so you guys can go ahead and save it and set it as your desktop until we make an official desktop file for it, so, wow, that was exciting, that was fun. We really gave you a Cliff's Notes. There's a lot more to share, but Logan and I are just going to continue to kind of tighten up some of the screws, continue development. Next month, we'll have another video. I hope Heather and Amanda are willing to let us have another 1-hour spot to show off more Hoplomachus and Victorum. We're very excited about that. And without further ado, we would love to hear from you guys. My computer went to sleep again, so I'm going to wake this up so we have the questions showing for me. Alrighty, question number 1. Will Hoplomachus Origins be part of the remaster? That is a great question. So, yeah, we talked about it earlier. Remastered does include the first 2 games. It includes the add-on factions. It includes quite a bit of the Army of One. I mean, all of what we know those add-ons and the main games to be will be remastered. As far as Origins goes, the feel of it, I would even say the gladiators, the arenas, all of that is being showcased in Victorum. So I think it would be safe to say that there's not really Origins in Remastered.
Yeah, I would say that so much of the DNA of Origins was fundamental to where Victorum began and where it's gone, that it felt a little bit redundant to leave it too much in that form, is how I would put it.
Yes. Very good question. Question number 2. We knew this question was coming. Is the game's map going to be as big as what's currently in front of you? The answer is yes! This is a 4-foot piece of neoprene. It is large. We've play tested this. We absolutely love it. So when you sit in the center, this is your play space, right? The mat is, right now, 16 inches deep. So all the chips, everything is just an easy 17 inches away. You bring that out, and then you're playing on the arenas directly in front of you, traveling the world. There's actually not a whole lot of components that will be cluttering up this beautiful piece of neoprene. It's going to be a great rolling surface for all of your dice. You're going to have your reference card, but all of the cards and the chips are going to be staged beautifully just on the top side. A note on that. So as we play, did we mention that you can save the game?
I don't think we did.
Okay, so yes, the game can be, it can be 3 hours long to play a full solo game from start to finish using the one hero that you choose. Sorry about that. Our neighbors are in manufacturing, and unfortunately they're not making our games, they're making something else. I don't hear it anymore.
For the moment. I think we're okay for the moment.
Okay, so, what was I saying? Oh, so, so let me just grab that. I'm reaching way over there. We have our plastic trays, right? So we can make some custom trays for each of the factions that we're going to be showing after Victorum. We're looking at just toying with ways to manage the 3 decks of cards for the ABCs that we travel throughout the different types of events, essentially. So we have great opportunity to have basically a home for the chips and the cards just on that top side of that mat. But also we would like to have a very, very easy way to save the game. So this is, it's something that we're passionate about, is, going the whole 9 yards in terms of not only the gameplay and the quality of the components, but of course, the supporting.
And I think we recognized very early on in the development that it's going to be a big game, but it does divide naturally into chapters. You're going and you're facing these champions, and then you're going to defeat the Scion at Vesuvius, and it breaks nicely into smaller chunks. So if you want to sit down and you want to play the whole thing for 2 or 2.5 or 3 hours, absolutely, by all means, it's going to be a fantastic experience. But at the same time, if you just don't have that much time, but you want to play a little Victorum, you can sit down, break it out, pop the lid off, play for 45 minutes, pop the lid back on, put it away, and it's ready right where you left off the next time you want to play that next chapter.
So, if I'm hearing this right, you're telling me I can take out these trays, set them on the top side, roll out this arena, and I'm ready to go.
That is the plan.
It sounds like it's like a 30-second setup from game to game, from session to session of the same game. Initially you're going to set up the gladiators the way they need to be, but to save it, they need to stay put. So it's just a matter of putting the lid on. Well, that's the plan. So we'll see how well we do, but
if
absolutely.
you even want to put it away. I mean, you may just want to leave it out all the time. Who knows?
Yes. So anyways, we're rambling. This is the size of the mat. Double-sided, edge-stitched. Yes. All right. So next question is, will there be a conversion option for those of us who already own Hoplomachus? So that's a great question, and this is something that we weren't prepared to answer in the past, and I think at the moment it's time to rip the Band-Aid off. No. As much as we would love to, it's important to reiterate that there's just far too many differences even though there's a lot of similarities, it's weird to say it like that. How do I describe? So all the art, the rules are getting polished. But it's not just a matter of reprinting all the PVC, the rulebook, and the chip stickers, and there's more. And so at that point, the conversion kit sounds like it's going to cost as much as a whole game. And ultimately, like, I would prefer to just see it as the remastered being the conversion kit. Those original Hoplomachus games are very, very special to Josh and myself. Again, I said they're our flagship games. We've never retired a product before. This is it. So for me, it feels like a collector's item, and I hope that everybody will feel the same way as we close the chapter on the old public domain type stuff, and then we kind of venture out into the chip theory treatment type games, right? So this is essentially what our vision is going forward. So no conversion kit, but again, so with the Remastered and Victorum, there's going to be the compatibility, and we're going to be leaning heavily into that. Yes. When will this game hit the Kickstarter? So I don't think we've announced a date yet, but last I heard it's going to be mid-May. But our Gilly is going to be sharing that information when it is time. It could be early May, it could be late May. All I know is the plan is May. But we'll definitely be sharing it on social media. You won't miss it. As soon as we have a date, it will be shared. Perfect. You want to take the next one?
Remastered make the old Hoplo obsolete. So I think we will Remastered make the old Hoplo obsolete. I think Adam kind of touched on that with the conversion kit. So nothing that we're doing here is going to make that unplayable. I'm keeping my collection forever. I love it. I love how unique it is, how weird some of those little modules are. Some of the things that we're taking out to make it streamlined and just make it make more sense are still very near and dear to my heart. I like having them, even if I'm not necessarily going to use them all the time. So it's not going to make it obsolete. It's just not going to be compatible in the same way that the new Remastered and Victorum are going to be compatible with each other. I hope that answers the question.
Sure. Okay, so next question on the top here is, will Remastered have new content compared to TLC and Rise of Rome? Let's see, I'm just trying to mentally envision all of the things that we have proposed for, or what we have working for Remastered. If there is new content, there is very little of it. I think it's more to make sure that everything else is the way we want it to be.
Well, I think it depends on how you're looking at it. If you're looking at just Lost Cities and Rise of Rome, there is content from the other expansion boxes is going to be in this big box.
Yeah, all 7 factions are going to be coming in Remastered. So you're going to have a choice of any of those. I mean, we're talking a couple hundred chips minimum in this Remastered box. It's actually, I think it might even be heavier than Victorum, if I'm thinking about it right. But as far as new content, no. It's just getting the chip theory treatment. So absolutely feel free to play with the old and just purchase yourself the Victorum. We don't want you to feel like you have to get Remastered as well. Absolutely. Is this expansion an expansion or a standalone game, and what is the difference between the solo play of Remastered and Victorum? You want to share that one? Or?
So both of these are standalone. Victorum is its own thing very much. Remastered is, its own thing very much. Remastered is a little bit more like Cloudspire, like Bones. You've got those modes. You've got co-op. You've got solo. You've got PvP in Remastered as well, obviously. And then, let's see, what's the difference between the solo play of Remastered and Victorum? So Victorum is built purely for solo. Like, we are steering into that. It doesn't have, anything that is diverting attention from that. There are no concessions made for PvP, for co-op. It's just you. The whole experience is going to be based just around you. And, to that effect, in Remastered, it's all individual games. You sit down, you play a game, you reset, your next game is completely separate. Here, a game of Victorum, you're building, you're making something, you're customizing your hero, your group. it's just very much
Yeah,
a
no,
very please.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. For those of you who have not played Hoplo, it is really important to reiterate, even if you are a pure solo game player, you definitely still want Remastered because there's hours and hours of solo content. You can pick the boss beast or the boss criminal, or we have the Titans. They're all, making an appearance, just as they did with Hoplo of old. And those are very cool puzzle type games. But like you said, they're kind of one-off games. So a single session is, 45 minutes, an hour, maybe hour 15, whereas it's not a campaign feel. However, obviously you can string up and do one Titan after another and just challenge yourself and whatnot. So there's tons of content in Remastered.
But nothing to tie it together. You're not stringing them along, building off of what you've done before is the big difference.
Sure, and, as far as the lore, however much lore there will be, as far as the story behind it, the fantasy, the historical reference, like, all of that is going to be very much intertwined with Victorum. We're going to be using the same regions. We're going to be using similar skills, feel for gladiators of those regions. So you'll see some subtle, cool things that really do tie the two games together. Yes. Thank you. That's a great question. So both of them are, tremendously for the solo gamer. Will the player and AI unit movement rules be tightened up versus the original Hoplo games? Wow. Yes. So, after Hoplomachus, we went to Too Many Bones, right? And when we did Too Many Bones, again, the original was just Josh and I. We grew up as a team. We added more people. We have more eyes on the project. Cloudspire was many individuals' efforts, and Burn Cycle even more so. I think it would be fair to say that when I look at the Hoplomachus of old, there's definitely some things that I would redo, and that's part of why we're doing the Remastered, right? Because this is not just a little bit of, I don't want to call it errata or anything, but it's really more of a polish, and actually this skill, if we just tweak it a little bit to suit, Absorb would be a great example. But ultimately, now I've lost my train of thought. So movement rules, yes. So you must be comparing it with Cloudspire. Cloudspire has a very unique and dynamic movement system for the AI. I can absolutely tell you that movement is super simple with Hoplomachus comparatively. You are literally just picking an AI gladiator of your choice, and it will go towards its mark. And sometimes you'll have an option, sometimes you won't have an option. And you just go through each of the gladiators. It's really, really, really simple. I would actually say that it's similar to the solo games of old. So feel free to check out our old solo Hoplomachus games for the AI. When the Titans, I think there's tons of videos. Movement should be relatively similar, but we do have targets and marks, so that's a little different possibly. So that's maybe leaning more into the bones realm. But gladiators will pursue a certain thing or location, and they will be attacking. They have priorities as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's similar to Too Many Bones. Now, those battle mats are obviously more compact. Movement is less of a thing there than it is on these big arenas. But in terms of, targeting and how they move, it's that simple. What is it looking for? Is it looking for the strongest? Is it looking for the weakest? Okay, what's closest? This one's closest, that one's closest. It just runs through a quick little list, and if in the event of a tie, you, the player, get to choose, okay, I'm going to do what's best for me. But for the most part, the game very quickly resolves itself and tells you what to do with the AI.
So I think that this is a very important thing for us to show, possibly next month. If not next month, the month after. We'll definitely give you a very, very close-up look on movement, targeting, marks, attacking, and hopefully it will highlight just how ingenious, how, what's the word I'm looking for? Intuitive, that's the word. It's almost like second nature. it feels right. It feels natural when you moving and attacking with their units. So I love that. Okay, so will there be any events taking place at the same time on several of the arenas? Wow.
So not currently. So basically the idea is you have this map of this chunk of the world. So as you're traveling, wherever you're at, that location is tied to a certain arena. You're in the region of that hometown arena, which is why the events in this area take place in this arena. As you drift away from that, you drift into another region, and those events take place in that arena, which isn't to say that, we would, not consider that or possibly touch that in the future, but at present, no.
Sure. Yep. No, I think that answers the question. But you will be moving from one arena to the next in, a matter of a single event.
Mm-hmm.
And we do have this kind of boat icon. There's two of them on this side of the map. So that's actually a spot where you can go and travel to another harbor. We're calling them harbors right now. So if you want to quickly go to the far arena over there, or even an arena on the other side of the map, you go to the harbor and you just kind of teleport over there. It comes at a cost of some sort, and so on and so forth. But there's definitely ways to move around the board much more efficiently. So we're very excited about that. Yep. Are you able to give any information regarding price point? Very good question. So we do have some idea of where we want to be. Are we willing to? I think let's wait on that until we kind of lock in. I don't want to create any speculation and whatnot. It would be fair to say that we absolutely plan on making Victorum and Remastered big box games. And so just know that they're definitely going to be chip theory, neoprene, tons of chips, PVC cards. So I think you have an idea that it's not going to be your $40 game or anything like that. So, but I don't want to just speculate and whatnot. Yeah.
I will say one of the things that we focus very heavily on is replayability, especially with Victorum. It's part of the reason you have all the different event types layered on top of all the different arenas, layered on top of different heroes, layered on top of different scions, so your replayability is exponential. So whatever the price point ends up being, you're getting a lot of gameplay out of it.
Yeah, and the only other thing, and I'm just going to share this because it's important to know, is we're still playing with the different trays and the custom staging, and quite frankly, those components can vary wildly in terms of pricing. So we are really trying to be sensitive about that, and we want to make sure it's a great support tray system while being cost efficient and friendly to our gamers. So once we kind of have a better idea of where we want those plastic pieces to be at, then we will have a very good idea of where the pricing will be. Yeah, very good question. For Victorum, will the gameplay feel more like puzzly like Origins, or epic combat like Rise of Rome, or somewhere in between? I love it. I mean, is Origins not epic combat to you? No. It's a very good question. So I think, it's a good way to compare is it going to be a 15-minute battle, or is it going to be this 45-minute battle, right?
Well, I was just going to say, I would say it's absolutely a mix, because that's your event types. Are you going King of the Hill, Capture the Flag? Those are the puzzly ones. Those are the ones where you have to work out what combination of units achieves this goal without forfeiting this event. You can't just kill all the opposing units in one of those events and win. If you do that, you forfeit. So you're trying to work out, how do I achieve this while keeping them alive without all of my units dying? It's a very puzzly balancing act, contrasted with your lethal fights, which is much more of the, epic you versus them, especially those championship fights and the final, Vesuvius Scion battle. Those are going to be very much the kind of epic, Lost Cities, Rise of Rome, Titan feeling battles interspersed with those little puzzly events.
Yeah, I think that, I was actually going to say they all kind of feel closer to Origins, definitely. Again, because the arena is small and there's some tight rules about it, and it's skirmishy, squad feel. There's not going to be a whole lot of gladiators.
Yeah, you're often not working with that many gladiators, except in those.
Yes, So, I mean, so to be clear, each of the events, the battles could be 5 minutes, could be, up to 10 if you're really kind of being careful about it. And then the championship fights are, 15, 20 minutes each. So you can kind of have an idea of just how involved, but not terribly involved, each of the battles are. But certainly does feel like a story that's unfolding, and you are, yep.
Yep.
Okay. Will the remaster include Farmel Arena? Great question. No. Next question. No, I'm kidding. No, the Farmel, wow. I love that map. I remember when we made it with the Rise of Rome campaign way back in the day. There was a lot of talk about it. Farmel needed a bit more polish in terms of rules. The hard part is it was yet another piece of neoprene as well, which drove up the price of the game. Right now we're making Lost Cities and Rise of Rome mats double-sided with edge stitch, right? Mm-hmm. So now if we add a new piece of neoprene, then we're going to make another mat, and just, I think, because the Farmel never really was a part of the canon, that we're just going to have to let it go, unfortunately. So that's going to become a collector's item as well, just like the original. So, no, it's a great question. Sadly, no. At the moment, no. Will the box fit in a Kallax? Great question. I love this one. So, we talk about this a lot because, first of all, if you're already seeing it, this is the size of the neoprene, right? Mm-hmm. So we really kind of play with, well, are we talking about a coffin box like these, or are we talking about something that can fit in the Kallax? Now, I will speak for me. I'm probably more on the passionate side of, we gotta make it fit in the Kallax. But I didn't want to give up the mechanics and the vision and the game that we wanted to deliver. But it just kind of dawned on us one day, this mat is only 16 inches deep. So we roll it up, we drop it in, that's the depth of the box. We can absolutely make the other dimensions work to fit in the Kallax. The plan is, absolutely, we want it to fit in the Kallax. We're going to do everything we can to make that happen. Great question. Do these new Haplo games introduce new Haplo dice, or do we have only the same 4 existing ones?
That's up to you.
So Hoplomachus, what makes it so exciting is that combat system, right? So really, the randomness of this game is, at its core, it's the risk management with each of the gladiators, the attacking. We are definitely keeping that aspect of it. There's definitely going to be the yellow, the green, the blue, the black dice. We're going to have, a D6 or 2 for the movement of the beast. There's definitely some of that going on. We may have another die that we'll be introducing that is currently being play tested. We will not disclose it just yet. Perfect. But yes, absolutely, you can use the old dice. So if you have a couple of Hoplomachus collections, pool them all together. That's fun, right? And in a couple of minutes, we're going to give you guys a chance to see Shannon's burn cycle playthrough. So right now she's setting it up. We're going to give her a couple of minutes. I thought we had another question. So right now we're just going to kind of do an outro. Thank you guys, for all of the questions. Logan and I, again, we're very, very passionate about this game. We're very excited about where it's headed. May can't come soon enough. And that new art, that Decimus art, I can't wait for more art from Anthony. We may not have a whole lot more to show next month because he is still working on Burn Cycle. Anthony comes, in very high demand with us, so we have him working every day, and we really wanted him for the Victorum project, and so, but anyways, I think that comes to a close now. So, Shannon, are you ready?
Yep, we'll transition.
Okay.
Hi everybody, Shannon here from Chip Theory Games, and I am going to be doing a solo playthrough of Burn Cycle on TTS. So a couple caveats before I get started. We do have a lot of new artwork and really great things in the TTS module, but there is still some placeholder icons, some placeholder art, so if anything's looking a little mismatched or out of place, it's probably still placeholder from the prototype. Also, I tend to mess things up when I'm playing live, so sorry, you're probably not going to get 100% error-free gameplay, but I'm going to do my best here. I'm just going to jump in and start playing and explain most of what I'm doing as I go, and you can ask questions if you have them in the chat. So we are playing Ocularity today. That's our corporation. So that's determined our CEO, our floor plan, and the threat meter that we have. And then for our captain, we are playing against Stamp here. So Stamp we're going to encounter on the 3rd floor, but also the burn cycle action that they give us is going to come up, and they're determining the types of guards that we have on every floor as well. In terms of bots, I'm going to be playing with Servo. So Servo has drifting. After each space you move during a move action, you may move left or right relative to the direction you just moved for free. And then I have a power cap of 4, which is fairly low, so I'm going to have to try and manage that. And then my command module is Crash, who has battering ram. Bots adjacent to Crash get +2 AP on all strike actions, and when attempting to brute force a keypad. And Crash has a 7 power bank, so that's a little bit higher, and starts with 3 burn cycle slots unlocked. And that's why I have 3 slots here filled in. I've done all of the setup already, so we have our mat ready to go. We have our guards placed out. I've done a power spend, so if we're looking at my bot here, I started with 10 power. I spent 4 of it on getting advanced dice, and I spent 2 of it on getting this trickle charge ability, which lets me get a power every time I reboot. So that's going to hopefully more than pay for itself across the course of the game. I have set my burn cycle reserve here. I get as many chips up there as I have burn cycle slots, and then anything that I have left over can go into my personal reserve. The difference between the two is I can use these chips to sub into my burn cycle to create optimized actions or to make degraded chips have an action again. I can also use these chips for help with keypads and the network, as you'll see. My personal reserve I can't use for the burn cycle, I can only use for keypads and the network. I have my imperative here. So an imperative is basically a hindrance, but as soon as it happens, you get power for it. So this says, the next time I lose power, I lose 1 additional power, but then I gain 2 power when that triggers. And then I also have a network card. So if I get to the right node on the network, and in this case it is a tech node on the 2nd layer or further in, I can trigger this, which is treat my imperative as completed and just gain the reward. I think that's everything that you kind of need to know to get started. Oh, wait. So I do have an objective for this floor that's super important. We have to complete this objective and then get to the safe zones in order to finish this floor. And it's called Influencer. My command module has to access 2 terminals, but every turn in which the command module is moved, security then gets to take an extra turn. So I'm going to have to be careful about when and how often I move my command module. We also have drawn our 3rd floor objective. We don't need to pay too much attention to the specific objectives on here yet because we can't complete those until the 3rd floor. But what we do need to pay attention to is that 3 and that 2. And what that means is that we need 3 key cards in order to open the CEO's office, which is how we win the game. And at least 2 of those key cards have to be gained on the 3rd floor, which means if we gain a key card on the 1st or 2nd floor, we can use that and potentially have to do fewer objectives on the 3rd floor. Okay, so I am just going to jump right in, and you can ask questions in the live chat. It's a little bit off to my side, so I'm going to try to pay attention, but I'm sorry if I'm not keeping up on everything. So I'm Servo here, and we have Crash, our command module here, and every chip in the burn cycle is an action I can take. Now our burn cycle starts built out with these general action chips. On any chip in the burn cycle, you can take any of the available actions you want. And a general action chip just means that no actions are optimized on them. Whereas if I had, say, this physical action chip in here, I can still take any action I want on that chip, but if I took a physical action, then it would be optimized and I would get a benefit for doing that. And then the third type of chip that can be in our burn cycle is this captain chip. It's always in your burn cycle to start, and what it does depends on which captain you're facing. So this one says the current player must return the highest level action die in their dice pool to the supply. So every time this action chip comes up, I have to do that before I can then take a general action on it. All right, so jumping into my turn, the very first thing you can do on your turn is route power, but I already did that, so we can skip that. And then we're going to build our dice pool. So your power supply is also telling you how many basic action dice you get, which for me is going to be 4. And then I've also spent power to get 2 advanced dice. So that's going to be my dice pool for this turn. I can use these dice to take actions. Once I've used them, they're used for this turn, but then at the start of my next turn, I get to rebuild my dice pool, again, just looking at where my stats are at that time. So my first action is going to be to try to get in this door. All the doors in the corporation are locked until you unlock them, and then at that point they'll stay unlocked unless something locks them on you again. So to get into a door, I need to draw a keypad card and flip it, and we're looking at the first column. First floor doors are first level, and this one doesn't have any icons on it, which means I can just open it without having to do any kind of spend. So this door is, lucky for me, just open. I'm going to put a door peg there, and then if I want to, I can get a free move into in through the door. So I'm going to do that. When I'm moving around the corporation, what I need to be paying attention to is the guards, because they are going to be assessing their awareness of you at all times. So over here we have the task drone. You're always going to see the task drone in Ocularity. It is constantly there, and there are a lot of objectives that have to do with the task drone. So it has a movement of 6, which is very high, and an awareness of 8, which is also pretty high. And then it has the skill demerit, which just means if it gets adjacent to you, instead of reducing your power, which it normally would do, it's actually going to increase threat. And then it has the patrol of perimeter, which we'll talk about when we move the guards. But that awareness of 8 is what we really need to be looking at. It can see 8 spots in a direct line in front of it, and then it can see half of that, so 4 spots in any other direction. So it can see here, it can see here, it cannot see here. So what I was planning on doing was coming around this corner and getting in this room, hoping that there's not going to be a guard in here, and then getting my command module in here as well. If I can get into one room that has 2 terminals, my command module can do both of those terminals without having to go into a bunch of different rooms. But right now, in order for me to get around this corner, I would have to get spotted by the task drone. Every time I'm detected, you have to put your awareness chip where you were last seen. And then guards, instead of doing their patrol, are essentially going to check out your awareness and come after it. So it's generally a good idea to not be spotted. It also increases your threat if you get seen. So in order to take my second action, I think I am going to try and come around this corner and get in this door. If I can get through the door, the task drone will see me, but it won't be able to come after me this far away. So that seems like a good plan to me. So I need to move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to roll these 5 dice and hope that I roll at least a 5 on them. Okay, so I did roll a 5, and that is fantastic. So the dice that I rolled, all the dice that had numbers are used whether you needed them or not. If you roll blanks, you can add 2 together for 1 AP, or you can just put them back in your dice pool. So we're going to do that, and I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then my awareness is going to come in play, and the last place it could see, the furthest space it can see is right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sorry, right here. So that's the last space it saw me on, because once I got to here, I was out of its awareness. So that drops there. I have to increase my threat up to 1. Ocularity has something that happens when we hit 2 and 3, so we're going to have to be paying attention to that. And then we're going to do our third action, but first we have to stop and resolve the captain's ability, which gets rid of my highest die in my dice pool, which is just one of those basics. And then I still get to take an action here, so I am going to attempt to open this door, and we draw another keypad for that. Okay, so this one has the ping symbol. So in order to resolve this, I can put a ping on the network. The other option with keypads is you can try and brute force them, and that's what the numbers are at the bottom. If I can roll 4 AP, I can ignore all the inputs and just brute force this. But with only 3 basic action dice left in my dice pool, getting 4 AP is not a safe bet. So I am just going to add the ping on the network up here. And that will make the door open. And then at that point, I can go inside the room, and we're going to roll the room die because we've just entered it for the first time, and we're going to hope that I don't roll a guard in here. Hey, I didn't roll a guard. I actually rolled a power cell, which is fantastic. I am going to collect a power and increase my power. Okay, after I'm done taking my actions on my turn, we go over to the burn cycle, and we have to degrade 1 of the chips in the burn cycle, and we just roll the burn cycle die for that. I rolled a 1, so slot number 1 is what is going to degrade. If I rolled a 4 or a 5, it would just wrap around back to 1. And then after degrading the burn cycle, I am able to root power, and in this case I have to root power because I have a max of 4 and I'm currently at 5. So at the end of your turn, if you're above your max, you have to spend down. So what I'm going to do is spend 2 power, and I'm going to get another advanced die. I can have up to 5 of those, and I can have up to 2 elite dice, but I'm going to keep going with advanced dice for now. And then that is the end of my turn. If we were playing multiplayer, the other players would take their turn now. And then once all players have taken their turn, we go to the guard's turn. So the way that we resolve this is the very first thing we look for is guards that have a bot within their awareness. And we don't have that in this case. I'm not within their awareness, just my awareness chip is. So after we've looked at if there's any bots within awareness, we look at if there's any awareness chips within guard awareness. And that would be the task drone. So the task drone is going to move 6 spaces towards my awareness chip. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're just going to flip these for a second to show that they've been resolved so that we don't accidentally send another guard after their awareness chip, because only one will go after it. And now we have to look at our other guards, and because there's no more awareness chips on the board, we're just going to do their patrol. So this is a walker. It does the perimeter, and perimeter says it basically walks turning right whenever possible. So it's going to turn, let me just get my rotation set properly. It's going to turn this way, and it has a movement of 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, even though it's right outside this door, it can't see through doors, so there's no danger there of it seeing me. And then this one is a hamster, which moves 2, and it has the patrol of pacing. So it's literally just moving in a straight line. Once it hits a wall, it's going to do a 180-degree turn and come back. This is also a hamster, but room guards don't do their patrol, so we can ignore it for now unless it ends up going after an awareness chip. Okay, so next we are going to deal with the network. So because there's pings on the network, we have to move the pings. They are going to move 1, 2, and then this one 1, 2. After we moved all the pings, we look and see if they're on any hubs, and for every hub that a ping is on, we would have to roll the ping die, and a bad thing happens. Luckily this turn we don't have any on the hubs. And then the last step of each round is I get to decide whether I want to reboot my burn cycle. You're eventually going to have to reboot your burn cycle, because once all of your chips are degraded and you've used up your whole reserve, you're not going to have any actions unless you reboot. The downside of rebooting the burn cycle is your threat goes up. So for every open slot you have, your threat goes up by that number. So you do want to try to delay the reboot as long as you can within reason. So I'm not going to reboot. I've got lots of chips left here to work with. And that is one round of the game. I'm just going to take a second and look in chat and make sure everything's good, and then I will do another round. Okay, I'm not seeing any crazy questions in here. If anything is like super urgent that I need to read, feel free to just throw something in large caps so that I pay attention to it. But it looks like I can just continue on. So, we do have a degraded chip here. You can't take an action on a degraded chip unless I put something from my reserve in that space. And wow, we'll flip these back now. Let's see. What is tough is I was wanting Crash to come follow me, but now this guard is in the way, and it's gonna be a couple turns before it gets out of the way. So actually I should adjust my dice pool. I'm down to 3 basic action dice, but I'm up to 3 advanced dice. So my first action, I mean, I could put Crash in this way and then try and get him to maybe this terminal. That might be a decent plan, given that these guards are sort of in my way for a while. So given that, I think I am going to put a physical there and take a physical action. So I'm going to move. Because I'm on a physical chip, I can take an optimized action, and I basically get +2 to my dice roll. So I'm trying to move Crash 2 spaces and myself at least 2. So I'm going to go ahead and roll I will roll an advanced and 2 basics. And I rolled a 5. So that's my roll there. So 1, 2, and then I'm going to go 3, 4, 5. For my second action, I'm going to I'm going to try and open this keypad here with Crash. So we'll draw a keypad card, flip it over. Ooh. So this card has a utility icon on it and a ping. So in order to do the inputs on this, I would need to get a utility, which I'll tell you how to do in a second, and also add a ping to the mat. I'm not super keen on adding another ping to the network because I'm aware that Ocularity is already very ping heavy. So what I can try and do alternatively is just brute force this lock by using 4 AP. There's the neighbors again. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to try and brute force this lock by rolling the rest of my dice. 2, 3, 4. I managed to brute force it. Thank you. The center aisle is reminding me that I did miss something, which was that the guards were supposed to take a turn because I moved Crash on my last action. So I managed to open this, but let's backtrack for 1 second because we're going to give the guards a turn. The walker and the task drone are both moving, but we first, and this one as well, but we first have to assess, again, awareness tokens that are within a guard's awareness. It's, funny enough, not within the walker's awareness because its awareness is only 2. So we are moving the task drone first again. It's going to move to the space where my awareness token is and clear it. So that comes off the board, and then it's going to stop there. Then the rest of our guards can just do their patrol because there's no more awareness tokens on the board. So the walker goes 1, 2. And then they always end their movement facing the direction they're going to move next. And because it's reached an obstacle, it's turning right back around. And then we have the hamster up here going 1, 2. And then, oh, I just realized I have some of these backwards. Sorry, we changed where the awareness... we changed where the awareness marker is on the guards from the top to the bottom, and it's just taking me some getting used to that it's on the opposite side of the chip now. But I've been moving them properly, and that's the most important part. Okay, so we've got all of our guards moved, and now we're going to go back to my second action, which was opening this door and putting a peg there, and then I optionally can move into that room. Now remembering that every time Crash moves, the guards are going to move, but right now the guards moving isn't necessarily a bad thing. I kind of want to let them move and get out of my way so that I can eventually get out of this room over here. So we're going to let Crash move into the room and roll this die. Okay, so that result is a guard. Sorry about that. That result is a guard, but there are no guard posts in this room, so it doesn't spawn a guard. Essentially, there's nothing that happens with that result. And then we have to move our guards again, so we can actually move these in whatever order we want now that they're all on patrol. And the reason that makes a difference, if I zoom in, if I have this walker go first, it's going to go 1, 2. And then the task drone is going to walk around it. If I have the task drone go first, it's going to hit this as an obstacle and turn back around and start going down this way. I think we want to have them going up this way to sort of get them out of the way of both of us. So I'm going to move the walker first. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know what? I messed up its movement on the last turn. It should have moved 4, so it would have gone 1, 2, 3, 4. And now it's going 1, 2, 3, 4. And then the task drone is moving 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then turning this way because it's reached an obstacle there. And our hamster, our little pacer, is just going to move back there. Okay. Third action, we have to do the captain's action of exhausting a die from our dice pool, but we don't have any dice left in our dice pool, so nothing happens there. Without any action dice, there's not a whole lot that I can do with this action. So I'm actually not going to take an action for this third action. And then we can finish up our turn by doing the degrading of the burn cycle. Okay, slot 3, so that's fantastic for us. You, in general, want that captain's chip to degrade on its own, because if you try and cover it up before it's degraded, you actually have to increase your threat by 2. So it's fantastic when it degrades on its own. And then I have the option to route power. Of course, being at 3 power, I'm not going to spend any more of that. Your power is also your health. So if I were to get down to 0 power, I would be shut down. I would essentially have to repair my bot using the command module, and if I didn't do that, then I'd be stuck with just my command module for the rest of the game. If your command module gets shut down, then you lose the game. You have to protect your command module because getting it to the CEO's office in order to hack the corporation is what you're trying to do. So we have another guard's turn now. So let's move them. These, because of their facings, they're not interacting with each other. We've just got the walker going. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hamster, 1, 2. And the task drone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then 6. Okay. And then we go over to the network. And the pings are going to move. They move up to 2 nodes, but they have to stop on hubs, so it will stop there. And this one stops there because it has to stop short of the other. And then we will roll our ping die and see what happens. Okay, so that's a transfer, and what that means is all pings that are on lines that they can transfer out on will do so. So they're both moving out 1 ring on the network, or 1 layer on the network, rather. Pings are going to keep moving clockwise. Moving outwards, when they hit these hubs, they can either transfer, they can increase our threat, or they can increase their network level. When we hit hubs, we can kind of do the opposite. We can decrease threat by 1, increase our network level, or gain a power. And the reason network level is important is because when our ping and when our IP and the pings meet each other, you compare network level to see which one gets booted. And booting pings is a really good thing because, as I said, they're moving around the network, hitting these hubs, potentially increasing your threat, and potentially getting to the outwards where they're just going to keep wreaking more havoc. If they get into your access point, they're basically going to spawn a guard, so you really don't want to let them do that. On the other hand, if we get all the way into their core, then we get to temporarily shut down a guard for a turn, and that can be a really useful tool as well. So lots of things that you can do on the network that both help you manage threat, help you keep threat from getting too high, but then also do things on the map, like shut down those guards, and like completing your network objectives so that you can get special abilities from them. All right, so that is the end of a round. We again have the choice to reboot our burn cycle. We're not going to, we still have a bunch of actions to spare. So we will go on to the third round. Very first action, again, we can take any action on this physical chip, but we get a bonus if we do make it a movement. Let me see here. What I'm actually going to do, what I'm tempted to do, is take a network action on this physical space. And the reason why is because if I look at my network here, when you move on the network, you can move inwards and you can move clockwise. And you're always going to stop on either a hub or a node that matches the action type that you're taking the action on. So if I took it on a general, I would just move one node in, but if I take a network action on a physical, then I can get all the way to this hub because there's no physical nodes in between me and that hub. I could also potentially move in here and get to this hub, which would get me on the second layer. But I think I want to get to this hub here. It does cost me 2 action dice to get on the network. If I did this on a tech action, the optimized ability there would be that I don't have to spend 2 dice. And now because I landed on a hub, I have a choice. I can either decrease threat by 1, I can gain a power, or I can increase my network level. Since I'm only at 1 threat, I'm going to go ahead and increase my network level by 1. As I said, ocularity is very heavy on pings, so I want to make sure I'm keeping my network level up so that when I run into pings, I'm able to boot them and sort of manage that a little bit better. Okay, so that was my first action. Second action is on a general chip, and I'm going to use that to access this terminal here. So when I do that, I draw a terminal card, flip it over. Now, if there was a security check on this card, which would be red text, I would have to do that. If I did this on an optimized tech action, my bonus would be to skip that security check. Luckily, there's not a security check on this card. Essentially, I can just pick one of these options. I roll as many dice as I want, and if I hit the AP check, then I get to do what it says. So my first option, locate access point. Move your IP up to as many nodes as AP rolled in the check. You may move it in any direction, including inwards or outwards on connected nodes, but I have to stop on hubs. Or I could cut transmissions. The team ignores all threat increases from guard awareness until the burn cycle reboots. Or access room camera, surveil a room of your choice. Well, I think that my best bet is to try for that cut transmissions option. Guards not increasing threat is always a good thing, and I'm sure I'm going to be moving out into the hallway at least once before I reboot the burn cycle, so that is a good thing. So I need to get 3 AP. If I wanted to guarantee it, I would roll all 3 of my advanced dice. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, so I got 5. I reached the AP check. And I'm just going to keep this card here for now as a reminder that I have that ability of threat doesn't increase when I get spotted from guard awareness. Once you access a terminal, it goes away. Each terminal can only be accessed once. And then if I go over to my burn cycle, I see that if I want to take a third action this turn, I need to put another chip onto that spot, and I'm going to put this physical chip there, take a physical action, and that physical action is going to be just to move. Because it's optimized, I get up to 2 movement points. Sorry, I'm going to go back. Because it's optimized, I get up to 2 movement points. I am going to roll the last die that I have and just see if I get any more. Yep, so 3 movement points, 1, and then I'm going to start heading back out with servo 2, 3. This is a turn in which Crash moved, so now I have to give the guards a turn. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Okay. And that would be the end of my actions. Now we go to burn cycle degrading. Roll the die. Slot number 2 has degraded. And then I'm able to spend power if I wanted to, but I don't want to. Now guards are going to take another turn. So just continuing to move them on their patrol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2. And then going over to the network. So we're going to move this one 2 spaces, this one 2 spaces. We're not on any hubs, so we don't have to roll the pink die. And again, we have the choice to reboot our burn cycle, but I'm feeling pretty good. We still have a chip in the reserve, so we're still going to get a full 3 actions on our turn. So I'm going to continue as is. Okay, so back to my turn. We are on a physical spot. I've got my dice pool, which hasn't changed. I'll just go ahead and put it back off to the right side of my mat. Let's see. I'm really interested in opening this terminal. Because Crash opening terminals is sort of the whole point of our objective right now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. My other option would be to start sending servo out to try and open some doors ahead of Crash. But I think we're just going to go ahead and do this for now. So we'll open this terminal. Okay, this one does have a security check, so I have to do the security check before I can do any other option on this card. If I roll 1 AP, threat increases by 1. If I roll at least 2 AP, it stays the same, and if I roll at least 3 AP, threat decreases by 1. The other options on this card, if I pass the security check, I could surveil a room of my choice, or swap any 2 active chips in the burn cycle. That last one's not useful, but surveilling a room of my choice could be really useful. I could potentially roll the die in the restroom ahead of time and know if there's going to be a guard in there. So let's do the security check first. I need to roll, ideally if I could roll 3 AP, then I can ensure threat doesn't go up. I think I'm going to roll 2 of my advanced action dice and just see what I get. Okay, so I got a 2. 2 means threat stays the same. That's fine. And then we get to move on to, we're going to try the surveillance option, which is rolling 2 AP. I'm going to roll my You know what, I'm gonna roll these 3 basic dice and try for a 2 on them. Okay, I overshot it just by a bit. I rolled a 5. But I do get to surveil a room of my choice, and I am going to choose the restroom here, roll that up and see what's in there. Okay, so what that is a broken terminal. That's not great for us. This die is just gonna stay there. A broken terminal can't be accessed unless a bot repairs it, and a bot can only repair it if they have the repair ability, which costs 2 power to give to Crash. And the other thing about this is repair lets you, as a general action, transfer power from your bot to another bot. So Crash having this might not be a terrible idea anyways. With Crash being at 7 AP, there might come a time when it makes sense for me to transfer power from Crash to Servo. Alright, so this terminal is gone. And I've taken my first action. My second action, I am going to put this utility here. And we're going to go ahead and I think we're going to skip the second action, so I'm not actually going to put this utility there yet. And I think I'm just going to take another action to move. Since I only have the 1 die left, I'll get a +2 to movement. And I have to remember as well, I think I missed it earlier, Servo has that cool drift ability, so it can actually move fairly far if you can chain that. So let's just see what I get. So I got 2 +2 for the optimization. I've got up to 4 movement points. We've got I think I'm going to just move Servo, so I can move 1 and then drift lets me do that, and then 2 and drift lets me do that, so I can use 2 movement to get there. And then with Crash I will move right there so that I can actually, instead of trying to come out this door, I'm going to go back outside and come back in this way. So I will move 1, 2. Okay, so those are my actions for the turn. At this point, we have to go ahead and degrade the burn cycle. Slot 3 is going to degrade. And then I would spend power if I wanted to, and then the guards are going to take a turn. So we'll go ahead and move the task drone first. This is a situation where moving it first is going to help us, because it's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then this one is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And our hamster over here in the corner, 1, 2. And that's the guards, and then we're going to go ahead and deal with our network. So this one's going to go 1 and stop on the hub, 1, 2. And then we'll roll our network die. And we rolled another transfer, so this one's going to transfer out. Alright, so looking at our burn cycle, this is the point where it starts to potentially make sense to reboot your burn cycle. I'm only going to get up to 2 actions this turn, but I think those 2 actions are worth taking before threat goes up. So I am going to not reset the burn cycle. Okay, so on my turn, I could route power if I wanted to, and then I build my dice pool again. And then the first action I can take is a physical action. So I think I'm going to use that physical action to move Crash. And then I'm going to use my second action to get in this door. I am going to just roll all of my dice for movement and see how far we can get Crash. Okay, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's a pretty fantastic roll. Only the blank comes back to my dice pool, even if I don't use all of these movement points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we'll stop there. Because of where the guards are right now, he didn't come within awareness of any guards. That's pretty good. Then we are going to use, then guards have to move because Crash moved. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6, 7. Okay, so what happens here is started out on its patrol, but in the midst of its patrol, it spots Crash. Crash's awareness token is going to come on the board, and then it's going to immediately pivot to going after Crash. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so it has one more movement. Now, because of our terminal, this isn't going to increase threat, so that's the good news. And then because a bot's already come after, or a guard's already come after this, the other guards are just going to continue on their patrols. That one, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, facing this way. Okay, so second action is going to be to try to open this door, and we'll see what the keypad is. So it's a level 1 door. The two inputs on it are tech and a ping. And because we're optimized, we can skip one of those inputs. Now I don't have any way to get the tech input, so if I wanted to do the inputs, I would have to bypass the tech and take the ping. The other option is to try and brute force it. So again, that's 4 AP, but it would be reduced by 2 because Crash is adjacent to me, and that's his ability. But I would still need to roll a 2 on this single basic action die, which only has 1 2 on it. So I think in this case, it makes the most sense to bypass the tech, take the ping, as much as I hate taking pings. Where did my keypad deck go? Uh-oh. Oh, it's right here. I moved the whole deck. Okay. Okay. And then we've got the door open. We have to add a ping to the network. And then I'm going to move in for free, and then we're going to roll the die that's in here, and there's 2 dice that are in here, and see what's in this room. There is, of course, 2 guards hanging out in this room. That is pretty much worst case scenario. So because we're on level 1, they are level 1 bots, or guards, so we've got a bulldog, and we've got a walker. Now, the bulldog has an awareness of 8. Half in any direction is 4, and I'm within that, so my awareness is now coming into play. Again, the only reason we're not increasing threat is because we got this terminal that lets us not do that until we reboot the burn cycle. Oh boy. Okay, well, I don't have any actions left, so I degrade the burn cycle. Slot number 4 turns into slot number 1. Spending power I'm not going to do, and then the guards are going to take their turn. So again, the very first thing that we do is we look at guards that have a bot within their awareness, and we're going to move all of those guards first. Luckily, we're not within the awareness of this walker, so it's just going to stay there. But the bulldog gets to move 3, and it's going to get adjacent to us. I'm just going to put it here, and Crash is within the awareness of the task drone, so it's going to move its movement 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it stops because it got to where it was going. And then this has all been resolved, and the rest of our guards can just do their patrol. This one would just do 1, 2, and then this one is going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then guards are going to go ahead and attack us. Bulldog is going to reduce my power by 1. It reduces power equal to its level. So I'm down now to 2 power. And then the task drone has that demerit ability, so instead of decreasing power, it actually increases threat. So we're up to 2 threat, and on our threat meter we can see that when we reach 2, the CEO pings the network 2 times, which means we're adding 2 more pings to the network. The reason we put this marker here is just to mark how high we've gotten on threat. The ones that are not highlighted in red only happen once, so if I manage to decrease threat and then it increases again, I know that I don't have to trigger that ability again. Now that the guards have gone, we can go to the network. So working outwards first, 1, 2, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2. There, and then we're on 1 hub total, so we only have to roll this die 1 time, and that is threat right there. So threat goes up by another 1 to 3, and then looking at our threat meter, it says at the start of each round, if there are fewer than 3 pings in play, the CEO pings the network once. Well, we have 5 in play, so that's probably not going to do anything for a while, but it's something to keep in mind. As I said, Ocularity is pretty heavy on pings. They're constantly pinging the network, so I need to do a better job at getting on the network and trying to clear some of those pings. Okay, that is the end of the round, and looking at my burn cycle here, I have 1 action, or I can reboot my burn cycle and get a fresh reserve and all of that, and I think that's what I'm going to do. So we'll just go ahead and reboot this. Oops. Okay, so on a reboot, we're going to just use this draw bag, shuffle up, draw back out our burn cycle, and then for our reserve, we get my action set here, which is 2 physical and 2 utility. And then my room also contributes a utility to the reserve. Crash is out in the hallway, so doesn't get to contribute anything from the hallway. And then my group reserve is a max of 3, so I'm going to move 2 of these chips down into my personal reserve. And I'm going to take, oh, this should have been discarded. A utility and I feel like I'm gonna need these physicals for moving, so I'm gonna put 2 utilities down in my reserve. Okay. After rebooting the burn cycle, we have to increase threat, and it's by 3 because that's how many burn cycle slots we have. So we're jumping up to 6 now. We're 1 away from that mood amplifier. Okay. Well, action number 1. Crash is in trouble. We need to get Crash to a terminal, so I think the easiest way to do that is to get Crash to this terminal. The task drone is going to follow me in and probably follow me back out, but I still think that this is the best plan. So Crash needs to move 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. We're going to optimize this action so that I only need to roll a 2. And I'm going to roll my advanced and 2 basics. Okay, I rolled a 2, and I get to put that blank back in, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, where is my awareness going to go? It's going to go right there. Guards cannot see through doors, but if guards see you go through a door, your awareness is going to drop on the inside. So they are still going to chase this, even though they can't see you until they're in the room with you. So that's where my awareness drops. We've got Crash on a terminal, but because on this turn we went and moved Crash, the guards are going to take a turn. Oh man, this is getting dangerous. So, guards that have a bot within their awareness is the bulldog here. It's not going to move because it's already engaged. And then, so we can just flip those. And then we look at awareness tokens, and the closest guard to each awareness token is going to chase after that. So the task drone is going to go 1, 2, 3. Once it's inside this room, awareness updates to where Crash is because it can now see Crash. And then we're going to put the task drone right there. And then the rest of our guards are going to move. The walker, again, luckily can't see me even though I'm standing right there. This walker goes 1, 2, 3, 4. And the hamster is doing its pace up in the corner. The bulldog is going to reduce my power by 1 more. And I just realized that a while back I should have done this. So actually what should have happened when that happened, when I got reduced to 2, I should have gotten reduced to 1 and then gone back up to 3. Because I gained 2 power when this would have been resolved. And now I'm going back down to 2 because I'm getting hit again. And then the task drone is increasing threat by 1. So we are up to 7 now. 7 on the threat meter says increase the CEO's network level by 3. So now the CEO's network level is 4. And that is my action. I'm starting to think that maybe I picked a tough objective. These guards moving so often I didn't think was going to be as big of a problem as it has ended up being. It's tough choosing an objective that has to do with your command module and then also moving the guards every time it moves. But we're very close to finishing the objective, actually. So we have to do the captain's ability, which is exhausting my highest level die out of my dice pool. And then I can take any action I want on this. I think... Okay, I need to get power. So I might need to do a network action, so the best thing that I can do to get power actually is to complete this objective. So I'm going to use this action for Crash to access this terminal, and that's going to complete my objective. So I will draw a terminal card. This one's gone now because we rebooted the burn cycle. So no security check, luckily. I can hack a door lock, unlock up to a level 2 door of my choice. I can do code manipulation until the end of this round. Bots may choose which active burn cycle chip to degrade instead of rolling the die. Or for 5 AP, I could do mechanical mod, draw 2 mods, and choose 1 to keep. I'm not feeling great about my ability to roll a 5 on those 3 dice. So we're definitely going to go with one of the first 2. Unlocking a door could be really useful right now. What I could potentially do is, say, unlock this door and then run into it. And getting into a safe zone means the guards can't see you and can't attack you. So that could be a really good option. Choosing which burn cycle chip to degrade could also be useful for getting rid of this captain, which is eating at my dice, but I think it's the most important that I unlock a door. So I need to roll 2 AP. I'm going to roll an advanced and a basic and hope for the best. Okay, so we rolled a 3. We succeeded on that terminal. And we can unlock any door. I'm going to choose to unlock that one. And then Crash here has completed our objective of accessing 2 terminals. So we get 3 power for servo. So we're up to 5. We desperately needed that. Now that the objective is complete, we just need to get both of our bots into these safe zones. So we need to work on that. Last action, I think because of that, I'm going to optimize, and I'm going to take a movement action with this guy. Okay, I rolled a 1, so I get 3 movement altogether. Servo is going to go 1 and then drift to there, 2 and then drift to there. My awareness is going to drop here. Again, the bulldog sees me go out the door, so it drops outside the door. I never came within this guard's awareness because its awareness is so low, so that's where my awareness is going to drop. And guards can never see you in safe zones, so I am safe in the safe zone. I have 1 movement left, but I don't want to use it because all I could do is move Crash by 1 more, which is going to just mean the guards get to go twice instead of once, and we don't want to let the task drone go 2 times. All right, that's the end of my turn. We're going to degrade the burn cycle. Number 1 is not what we were hoping for. And then I have to spend power again because I'm over my cap here. I think I'm going to spend 2 power on giving repair to Crash. That means that if I need to, I can use Crash to transfer some of his power to me. And then also, if I break any more of those terminals on upcoming floors, then he can still access them. So that's my power spend. Now it's the guards' turn. So first looking at guards that have a bot within their awareness. Tastron here is not going to move because it's already engaged. And then we're looking at the closest guards that have this within their awareness. Now, technically, there are no guards that have this awareness token within their awareness. It dropped outside the door because the bulldog saw it move through, but it can't actually see it. So then we go to just the closest guard to each awareness token. So bulldog is going to come out, clear that away, and stay there. And then the rest of the guards are just going to do their patrol. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2. And then the task drone is going to go ahead and increase our threat by 1. Up to 8. And then we go and deal with all of the pings on the network. So that one moves there. Third layer one, or second layer, and then first layer. Or sorry, fourth layer. And then we have 2 pings on hubs, so we have to roll the network die 2 times. Okay, transfer, so they're gonna transfer out all the ones that are able to anyways. And network level increase, we're gonna put the CEO's level up by 1, so it's up to 5 now. I really need to get on the network and start increasing my network level. I'm hoping to just get Crash out of here, get to the next floor, and then find hopefully a safer space than what I've had to just spend some time on the network. But we'll see if I'm able to do that. Okay, so now we could reboot our burn cycle, but I'm feeling okay about the burn cycle. I don't want to reboot if I don't have to. And it's my turn again. So, with all of these dice, I think what I'm going to do is, on this utility chip, I just want to move Crash basically as far as possible. I think my best bet is to get Crash to this safe zone. It's the closest one. So I'm just going to roll all of my dice for movement and try and move as far as I can. Okay, so what we rolled here is 7. We get to put our blanks back into our dice pool unless we want to add them together for an 8 and see how far we get on 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Awareness is going to drop. Actually, awareness is going to be right here because the bulldog has an awareness of 8. So being 4 away in a non-straight direction, I'm still within its awareness there. And then guards are going to get a turn. Sorry, I moved the wrong awareness token. There we go. So guards are going to get a turn now. Again, very first is guards that have bots within their awareness, and that is the case for this bulldog. So it's going to move its 1, 2, 3, and get adjacent to Crash. And then we've done those 2. There's no more awareness tokens in play, so everyone else just does their patrol. Now, this actually turned out okay for me. It sucks because Crash is going to take this hit, but Crash kind of took over that awareness token from the task drone, which means now the task drone is a room bot or a room guard that doesn't have an awareness token, so it's just going to stay in that room, hopefully, and give us a better chance at clearing this floor. We've got the walker, which is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and face that way. And then our hamster doing its little pace in the corner. And that's all of our guards. So, second action, we've got the captain chip in the burn cycle. So we have to give up one of our dice from our pool, and then we can take an action. I don't have anything I want to do with this action. I'm going to just skip it and then go to this physical and take another move action with Crash. And I'll roll this die. Okay, so, sorry, actually, I did forget that Crash should have taken, he was attacked, so he needed to take a power loss for the Bulldog. And then now Crash can move 1 and then 2, 3 because it's optimized. So 1, 2, 3, still within the Bulldog's awareness, so that awareness is going to travel with me. And then I have to degrade a chip in the burn cycle, and we're hoping for a 2. And we got a 2. All right, and then power spend I'm not going to do, so guards are going to do their movement again. So bots within guards awareness is this Bulldog, 1, 2, 3, and it's adjacent to me again. And then all the other bots just doing their patrol, or all the other guards, sorry, just doing their patrol. And then we come over to the network, and these pings are going to move 2, 2, 2, and 2. That was a lucky turn in which they didn't hit any hubs. And then we could refresh our burn cycle. I do have 2 actions left, and I'm hoping that 2 actions is actually enough to get Crash into this elevator. So I'm going to not reboot my burn cycle, not take that threat increase, and hope that I successfully get Crash into the elevator. Unfortunately, these 2 chips are in the opposite order I'd like them in. I would love to take an optimized move and then an optimized utility, but that's not how my burn cycle is, and I've just got to deal with it. So, utility action first, but I'm actually just going to take a move. I need to get Crash to move 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. I'm going to roll these 5 dice because it's actually pretty important to me that I succeed here. Okay, and we did indeed succeed. We got way more movement than we needed. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're still within the Bulldog's awareness, so it's going to remain aware of us. And then my second action is going to be a keypad action, and we are going to hope very hard that we get a keypad that we are capable of opening. Hey, okay, so looking at this, it requires a utility input to open. And if you remember, we happen to have utility chips in our personal reserve. We can just spend this chip to meet that input, and that opens this door. We do get, we do get a free move into the elevator. I actually should go back for 1 second. The guards should have gotten a turn after Crash moved per this card. That wouldn't have changed anything though. The Bulldog actually couldn't get to me this turn. None of the other guards can get to me either. And then Crash gets in the elevator, and we've completed the first floor. So first floor, we are at 8 out of 26 threat. I'm at 3 power, and Crash is at 6 power. So we're going to take a couple seconds and set up the second floor. So if you want to go grab yourself a drink or something, it's going to take a couple minutes for me to set up, and then we will come back into the second floor. taking a look in the chat and seeing if there's anything here I need to be aware of. The center aisle says, didn't you finish the objective? The guards move even then. Yes, it doesn't say until this objective is complete, so you continue it on even after. Keep in mind that this game is still in development and is still being tweaked, so a card like that could very well and potentially should be tweaked to say that you don't have to continue to do that after you've completed the objective. So we're still making small changes like that with plays like this. But yes, because that card doesn't say otherwise, we have to follow the special rules even after we've completed the objective. Okay, I think I've managed to get everything important off of this map. So we can just go ahead and load floor 2. Now, our bots are going to stay in the elevators relative to where they were before. So crash is there, and if the elevator was unlocked before, it remains unlocked now. So because I unlocked them getting into the elevators, they're unlocked for me as I'll be exiting the elevators. Okay, I think that's all of the terminals. We do have to look for mandatory guards. That's these guard posts with the star. So because we're on floor 2, they get second floor guards this time. So in the security room, we have a bulldog. Bulldog's awareness is up to 10 on level 2. And then I believe we have another mandatory guard over here. We've pulled another bulldog for that room. And then we need to look at Stamp's card, which says on level 2 we have a 1, 2, 3 respectively. And because it's ocularity, we need to make sure that that level 1 guard is the task drone, because the task drone always needs to be out on when it's an ocularity scenario. So level 1 in guard spot 1, and then a level 2 in guard spot 2, and then we get a level 3 in guard spot 3. So let's see, we've got our task drone we're familiar with. We have a radio head in spot 2. So it has a movement of 2, an awareness of 8, and it has the ability cautious. And its patrol is doors. So basically those two kind of go together. What it does is it moves towards the closest unlocked hallway door, and then if it ends its movement adjacent to an unlocked door, it locks the door again. And then we have a hamster. This one's a little bit more menacing than the last one, with 3 movement and 8 awareness. We didn't really talk about it before because that hamster was so far out of the way, but hamsters have magnetic, which means that if they end their movement with a bot within their awareness, they just pull that bot adjacent to them. So we'll need to be keeping a lookout for that. Luckily, where it is, again, it's literally, unless it sees something and gets pulled towards it, it's just going to pace back and forth here. So that hopefully we can manipulate that to our benefit. Okay, we're done that objective. We're going to, sorry, I have to do room dice quickly here. So we'll draw 2 objectives and choose one to keep. First choice, Ocularity Marketplace, open the cache in the cube farm. Special rules, the cache in the cube farm is not discarded when opened, but it can only be opened once by each bot. Second choice, have the task drone enter 3 different rooms. So there's definitely a difficulty disparity between these two. Having the task drone enter 3 different rooms means it's going to have to follow you into those rooms. That's worth 4 power. Opening the cache in the cube farm is probably going to be easier. It's also only worth 2 power instead of 4. But I think given the trouble we had on the last one, we're going to go ahead and choose the easier one this time. So of note, it does say each bot. Each bot includes the command module, so it's not just me that has to do this. It is Crash as well. But luckily, we don't have that pesky special rule where the guards are going to move every time Crash does. Okay, on a new floor, I also get a new imperative. Troll sequence, the next time you take an optimized physical action, you don't get the benefit of it being optimized. I can also draw a new wireless card. And I can choose which one of these I want to keep. So this one says return all pings on the first and second layers to the core. Given how many pings there are on the network, we're going to go ahead and keep this one that is potentially going to let us put them back at the core. And then we need to reboot our burn cycle, but on this reboot, we don't take the threat increase. One, two, three. Now that we're on floor 2, we do have the ability to unlock the 4th slot, but it does cost 6 power, so that's going to be a pretty high bar for me to hit. I don't know if I'm going to end up doing that. We've got the 4 chips available for our reserve. Again, we keep 3 of them in the group reserve and 1 of them in my personal, and I'm going to take one of the utilities for that. Okay, so I think I've done everything I needed to do to set up this floor. I completely forgot about my trickle charge when I did the last burn cycle reboot. Any bot could have gained 1 power. So that I don't mess with myself, I'm going to just go ahead and give that power to, I should have given that power to Crash. Okay, so looking at the map here, we've got the cube farm up here, and this is, sorry about the noise, guys. The neighbors are extra loud today. It's like they know we're streaming. This is the cube farm, so this is the room I need to get to open this cache with both of my bots. So that's the goal. Action 1. I'm wondering if I might be best served spending a few actions on the network, trying to get my network level up, maybe even threat down, but with only generals in the burn cycle, it's a lot harder to move around on the network. You only move 1 hub each time you move, or 1 node each time you move, and I'm pretty far from any hubs. So I think, even though I keep wanting to spend time on the network, it's not the right time this action. I'm gonna go ahead and just try and move servo into the cube farm. The problem with this is that this pesky bulldog is absolutely gonna follow me in there. Let's see. I don't really have any abilities that would let me avoid that. The best thing I could potentially do is there a, I mean, I can try and let it chase me over here far enough that it then won't have this door within its awareness is probably my best bet. So I'm going to use servo to try and pull this bulldog away from where it's at. So we're taking a movement action. Oh, this isn't a bulldog, this is a radio head. Okay, well that doesn't change a lot. I need to get out of the elevator before it takes its movement because it's actually going to come down here and lock my door. So I'd like to get out of there first. We're just going to roll a bunch of movement. Let's just roll it all as movement and see what happens. Okay, so we got 2, 4, that was a 2, 4, 6. We've got 3 dice that rolled blanks. We can keep them there. We could, again, turn 2 blanks into a 1 if we needed that extra movement, but I don't think we do. So I can do 1. Again, Servo's got that drift ability. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, let's do this again. So 1, 2, 3, 4. By ending there, I can make the radio head come down here, and then it won't see me going into this room. So we're gonna do that. I only used 4 of my movement, so I'm gonna go ahead and move Crash the other 2. Just making sure I'm keeping out of the awareness of the hamster and the task drone, which is gonna, in a second, move down here. So we're gonna wanna move Crash a bit further on our next action. All right, so let's do that. We'll take a second action of also movement, and we'll move Crash. We rolled 2 successes, so we can move Crash 2 spaces. Crossing this threshold is going to get us spotted by the task drone, and actually I've been spotted there already, which increases threat to 9, which says deactivate the first burn cycle slot. Okay, well, so we lose that slot. And now we're going to have to repurchase it if we want it again for 2 power. And then Crash is going to move these 2 spaces. There's really no getting out of being spotted by that task drone, so we're just going to have to deal with it. 1, 2, and at last spotted Crash here. And that actually puts us within the awareness of this hamster as well, which updates my awareness to there. Increases threat to 10. And then we've got one more action, but Stamp Stamp is taking away our last die. So we have an action that we can't really do anything with. Actually, what I'm going to do is take a repair action. So I'm going to let Crash repair me. Yeah. So if I let Crash repair me by 2, so up to 5, Crash is going to go down to 5. And then I can spend at the end of my turn. I need to do the burn cycle degrading first. Slot number 1 goes to slot number 2, but then I can spend power, so spending 2 power to get this burn cycle slot opened back up for us. And when I do that, I can put any chip from the supply that I want into the slot. Very first thing I need to do on my next turn is move, so I'm just going to put a physical there, and that way I know I'll be able to. I'm actually not going to be able to optimize it because of my imperative, but I'll at least be able to finish my imperative and get the power from that, so that'll be a good thing. So that is my turn, and then the guards are going to take their turn. I feel like I miscalculated a little bit. Crash is gonna take a really bad hit here, but that's okay. So the Radiohead has me within its awareness, so it's gonna move 1, 2. Can't get to me, so can't hit me. But the hamster is gonna move 1, 2, and get adjacent to Crash. And then Crash is going to take 3 damage because the hamster is a level 3. So Crash is down to 2 power just like that. And that is trouble. Okay. We go to the pings. Okay. So pings are gonna do their thing. 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2. We're on 1 hub, so we roll the network die 1 time. And they transfer out again. Okay. So starting to get a little dangerous with these pings. There is one on the outer layer. Their network strength is also higher than mine, so they're going to be able to boot me off the network. And sometimes it's a good idea to let them do that because that just returns you home. And then their network level is going to go down 1, so it might actually be advantageous if I let them hit me a couple times, get their network level to a place where I can catch up with them. So that is the round. We're not going to reboot the burn cycle, we're just going to go again with what we have. Okay, so what I know is that Crash cannot get hit by this hamster again. So we potentially could backtrack and put Crash back in the safe zone. Or we need to get Crash at least more than 3 away from the hamster so that it can't follow Crash. So let's just do another turn where we roll a bunch of movement. I'm going to roll all my dice as movement. Okay, so we got 6, 7, 8, 9. Crash is going to move 1, 2, 3, 4. puts him within the awareness of... let's see. I was here and I rolled 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, I think the smart play here is just to put Crash back in the safe zone for now. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Awareness is going to drop here. And then I'm going to use the rest of that movement. And yeah, I miscalculated again, so this thing is going to see me go into that room. As long as I stay there. So if I went, no, I don't want to go there. The hamster is gonna get me. Well, the hamster, yeah, is gonna get me there. Wisdom is saying, wouldn't you have to get significantly more than 3 away because of magnetic? And that's absolutely right. So that's another good reason that I just ran back to the elevator for now. And I really need to make sure that Servo is better off within the awareness of Radiohead than within the awareness of Hamster. Let's see. If I go in this room, the Radiohead is going to follow me in, but it's going to take a couple turns for it to get in because it does move very slowly. So I think I'm just going to do that. So I had moved, I'd rolled a 9, I moved 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with Servo. The rest of it's wasted. And then I am going to put a utility here so that I can take an optimized keypad action on this door. And it has, it's a level 2 door now because we're on floor 2. It has physical and an alarm. So the physical I could meet by spending one of these out of my reserve. The alarm actually just puts my awareness token on my space and it's already there. We are optimized so we can bypass one of these, so we're going to bypass the physical and then take the alarm, which effectively doesn't do anything. Open the door, move inside, and my awareness travels with me. We're just going to put that peg there. And roll the dice for this room. Okay, so that means that the door locks behind me, and that means that there's a guard in here with me. So we get a level 2 guard, pivot it around, let's see what we've got. It is a hamster, awareness of 6 with magnetic, so it is aware of me. I am within 3 of it. Okay, so I'm in the room, but I'm now not convinced that was a good thing. We go to the last action, and I have to exhaust one of my dice because of the captain chip. I completely forgot that I resolved this imperative, so I should have a power from that. That's good news, at least. And I have one last action. Not much left to do with it. I mean, I could try to open this door. I might as well and just see what the keypad is. Okay, so it requires a tech and then a die roll. We're gonna roll the die because there's a chance that we just get a free pass and this door is open. And that's exactly what we got. So if you get this result on the die, you can ignore all the inputs on the card and the door is automatically open. So that's good news. We've unlocked the door behind us. Now the question is, do we step back outside or stay inside? Either way, the hamster is going to hit us, but if we step outside, we're going to get hit by both. So we're going to stay inside. And that is the end of this round. We're going to degrade the burn cycle. We rolled 4, which goes to 1. And I can do a power spend now if I want to. I think I need to stay at 4 power. I'm going to take some hits in a second. So guards are gonna move. Actually, the radio head is now going to ignore me. That's good news because the hamster is coming after me. 1, 2, and I'll put it there. So now those have been resolved. This one, we've got the hamster coming after it. 1, 2, 3. And then the rest of the guards are just going to do their patrol. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And Radiohead is going to go to the closest unlocked door, which is this one. 1, 2, and lock that elevator on us. Okay. So I'm gonna take 2 hits. Oop. Don't know what I just did there. There we go. I'm gonna take 2 hits from this hamster, so my power goes down to 2. And then we have to go and do the network. So pings are gonna move. 2, 2, 2. That one stops there. So we've got 1 hub to trigger. And transferring out again. That's it. Okay, looking at our burn cycle, we are not going to reboot. We're going to go again with this burn cycle. What would be, oh, I'm down 2 dice here. Just want to look at my network for a second. So I'm right before a ping. I could, if I try and move on the network, I'll get booted, but its network level will go down. That might be worth doing 1 action for, but I think we're gonna wait. I can't afford to take a hit in this room. I could try and shut down that guard, but it takes an AP of 15 to shut it down on the second level guards, and I don't have the dice to do that. So I think I'm just gonna have to get it out into the hallway and then try to get back in the room once I have drawn it away enough. So I'm gonna put a physical there and I'm going to take a move action. And we're going to move, it moves 3, so it's going to go 1, 2, 3. So as long as I get outside of that, but it's got magnetics, so it's going to go 1, 2, 3, and I need to be more than 3 away from that. 1, 2, I need to move at least 4, and I get a bonus 2 from being optimized. So we're gonna roll these 2. Okay, so I've got 5, 6, 7 movement. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that puts me, that leaves my awareness there. So I'm not actually going to pull the hamster out of the room. Because the radio head has clocked me. So let's see here. I think I'm just gonna have to leave it for now. I'm gonna have to stay. This is moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it can't get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I don't think anything can get to me where I am, and that's about the best I can do for now. And then I think I do need to get on the network and just start building up more power so that I can potentially get back into this room and take the hit I need to get to get that cash, which is my objective. So I've done my movement. We're going to take this action as a movement action. So, or sorry, as a network action. It costs 2 dice to get on the network. We hit that ping and that boots us, but their network level goes down to 4. And then we're going to take another network action just to move one more. And then when this ping comes along, it's going to boot me again and put them down to 3. So we can hopefully start dealing with those. Okay. So, center aisle is reminding me a very important part is that I can use this from my reserve to move again on the network. And I do actually want to do exactly that. I can use that to, it's as if I'm taking an action on a utility chip, so I can move to the next hub because there's no utility chips there's no utilities in my way. On the hub, I can either decrease threat, gain a power, or increase my network level. And I think what I have to do in this case is gain a power, just that if I get hit by one of these level 2 guards, then I'm not shut down. So that is my turn. We degrade the burn cycle. Of course, I lose slot number 1 again. And then guards are gonna move. So We've got no bots within awareness, so we go to awareness chips within awareness, which both of these are. We're going to move the radio head 1, 2 towards this one. And over here, we've got 2 guards that have this within its awareness. It's our choice which one of them goes after it, and the other one is just going to continue on its way. We're going to have it be the hamster that does that. And then the task drone is just going to do its patrol. 1, 2, 3. At this point, it sees me. So my awareness is going to update and is going to do the rest of its movement towards me. Okay. Well, folks, I have to tell you, it's not looking good that we're going to get off the second floor. But we're going to keep going, and we're going to try our darndest. So, we've got to deal with the network now. 1, 2, 2. Okay, so now the pings are on 3 different hubs, so we have to roll the die 3 times. First one is a threat increase. Second one is a threat increase. Third one is a transfer. I think it's just this ping that's on a transfer. We're up to 12. At 13, the peripheral awareness of all guards and captains is equal to their awareness spot, and hiding can't be used. Yeah. That's going to be huge trouble for us. We are going to just move on to our next turn and hope for the best. I think what I need to do is... So I can't really move Crash over here. What I could try and do is shut down the task drone. It's a level 1, so it only takes 10 AP to shut it down. And I would get a +2 if I optimized a physical action. I would need to get adjacent to it though. I do have an extra basic die now. I think... I mean, the other thing we can try and do is just bust through a wall here, but there's no way for us to get in this room without this hamster coming after us. So we're just gonna have to, I think, like, go for it. I don't see any way. I'm not that worried about this task drone. It's not damaging me. It's increasing threat, which is terrible, but threat is probably not how we're gonna lose this game. So I think I'm just gonna move. If I move up to here and I can try and bust a hole in this wall and at least get to a place where we can like pop in and pop out of this room perhaps. So we'll optimize a physical action, and then I can use the 2 movement from this with servo to go 1, 2 using my drift. My awareness stays with me, and then I'm going to take a physical action with all my dice to try and destroy this wall. And I'm looking for a 10 here. I'm not optimized, so I need to get the full 10. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if I added these together. That's not enough. So we'll set those aside. I've got these 2 dice left. And I think I'm just going to hop on the network. Actually, hopping on the network doesn't do me any good. This can move 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. So I'll be out of its awareness. I'm gonna get hit by the task drone. No, this is bad news, I'm telling you. These guards have conspired against me, and I don't see any way of me getting out of this without... So I'm just gonna let it play out. I'm going to... I'm gonna move 2 spaces. If I move there... Okay, I still don't think this is gonna work out for me, but I'm just gonna move there and we'll see how it goes. And actually I only had 1 die left because this is taking away a die from me, so I could only move 1. And then we need to degrade the burn cycle. And then guards are going to go. I'm within the awareness of both of these guards. We want the radio head to come after me. So it's gonna go, sorry, they're both gonna come after me. So it's gonna go 1, 2, the task drone, 1, 2, 3, and it stops. The hamster is then gonna do its patrol, 1, 2, 3. The task drone beside me increases our threat up to 13, which now peripheral awareness of guards and captains is equal to their awareness, which means that this hamster has awareness of 8 in every direction, and magnetic, which is going to be pretty impossible for us to get away from at this point. So I'm guessing that the second Crash comes out of this elevator, I don't see any possible way for us to get him into the cube farm and using this cache without him losing the 2 power that he has. I don't see it happening, but we're gonna see what we can do. I'm going to... Well, I have to do the network first. 2. This one moves onto my spot. Ooh, and I get booted, but that puts their network strength down to 3. And now they are on 2 hubs, so we'll roll twice. They go back up to 4. And transfer out. And then it's my turn again. I could reboot the burn cycle. I don't think I need to. I think it's a foregone conclusion at this point that we've pretty much lost the game. I'm gonna try and bust through this wall again. So let's see what I can do. I need to get So I'm here. I need to get a 10 on these dice. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we did manage to bust through the wall. So we've got a door here now, and we can move in. And then I'm going to, my awareness is with me. I only had 1 die left, but I can use that to move. 1, and with servo I can go 1, 2. So I'm at least on the cache now. And then that's the end of my turn. So burn cycle, slot number 2. And guards are gonna move. So guards that have me within their awareness will go first. And then the rest of them are gonna do their patrol. We're gonna do Radiohead first. Radiohead's heading towards, no, Radiohead's coming up to this door and locking it again on me. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I'm gonna take the 2 damage from that guy. Okay. And then the network. Moving all of our pings. And we've got 1 hub to resolve. Transferring out. And that's that. And I think we have to reboot our burn cycle at this point. There's just not really any other choice. Don't know what that was doing in there. Okay. So there's our burn cycle. Our reserve is our action set plus our room is going to give us a utility and a tech. And then we can only keep 3 up here. I'm going to, I'm just going to take, I'm going to take the tech. No, I'm gonna take a physical. And we'll leave the hat for our reserve. Because we rebooted the burn cycle, our threat goes up by 3, so we're up to 16 now. 16 says CO boots the 2 IPs closer to the core. I'm already booted. And reduces their network level to 1. So I'm back down to a network level of 1. And then we're gonna go again. So very first action, they take away 1 of my advanced dice. My dice pool is down to, oh, sorry. My dice pool is down to that. I am going to access this cache. Now caches are just like doors, they're keypads, but they're always level 1. So let's see what we've got. So it's just a utility. We can resolve that by getting rid of this set of our personal reserve. And then because we opened a cache, we get to draw an equipment card. And we drew, Ooh, the triggered hammer. This is like exactly, well, kind of what we needed. So the triggered hammer has the ability of doing a bunch of damage. I need to grab die number 16. Alright, so if we look at this for a second, it would add the left side number in damage to a strike roll against a guard, but the right side damage would happen to me. So, I could potentially strike this, probably get myself shut down, but give my command module a chance to get in there and complete this objective. So I think that's what we're gonna do. So I'm going to, what are my chances here? They're all right. I'm gonna do a strike action. I'm gonna make my chances even better by optimizing this action. And we're gonna roll my dice, including, so it says when taking a strike action, I can include this die in the roll. So we need a 15 to shut down this guard. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We came really close, but we did not succeed. That's unfortunate. The good news is that we didn't roll a break side on our equipment, so we actually still have that. These dice are gone. There are 2 sides of this die that would still defeat this guard, and defeating this guard is the only way that we're going to win this game. So I'm going to take my next action to take another strike, rolling just this die, and seeing what we can do. Okay, so we rolled the 10 side. That's not enough to defeat it, so we're just not going to use that result. And we are about to get shut down. That's the end of our actions. Degrading the burn cycle. We rolled our choice side, so I'm going to choose to get rid of the captain's side. And then the guards are going to go. Oops. So guards that have a bot within their awareness, and then everyone else is just on patrol. Radiohead is now heading towards the only unlocked door left, so it's going to go that way. The task drone's just going to continue on its patrol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then 1, 2, 3 for the hamster. And then the pings. So we've got 2, 2. That one stops on a hub. That one stops on a hub. And we've got 2 hubs to resolve. Transfers. That one is going to transfer out. And threat is going to go up 1 more. And that is that. Okay, next turn. Sorry, this guard hits me and shuts me down, so my awareness goes away. I'm just gonna flip over and stay there. And now I'm not controlling servo anymore. I am now over here controlling Crash only. If Crash repairs servo, then servo can come back into play. Crash only has 2 power himself, so I don't know how quickly that could possibly happen. But here we go with Crash. Essentially, I need to get Crash into this room. Now we're going off of Crash's stats, so Crash only has 2 basic dice because we let Crash get so far down. There's just no possible way, guys, that we can win this scenario. So I'm just gonna bite the bullet, let Crash move out into the hallway. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gonna face this head on. I've got no more actions to take, and I'm just going to get seen and get destroyed by the good old magnetic hamster over here. That's going to reduce the command module down to 0 power, and that is a loss condition of the game. So that was super fun, super tough. I do want to mention that we're still working on some balancing of the game a bit, so all of the main mechanics, everything we showed you, is pretty set in stone. But some of the balancing, the kinds of guards that are coming out, some of the abilities we saw, will see some balancing. This was pretty tough, and the game is meant to be tough. It's going to be difficult. But you may see some of the things that happen today get balanced out so that they're maybe a little less punishing as we continue to playtest the game and find all of the problem areas and balance those out. But I hope you guys got a good sense of how far the game has come since we presented it to you a few months ago. All of the different tweaks we've made and all of the different mechanics we've streamlined and adjusted based on both your feedback and our playtesting. The game is feeling really good, really fun, really tough, but usually in a good way. Today it was maybe a little more, a little tougher than I was hoping that it was going to be. But hey, a good co-op game means you got to lose once in a while. It's no fun if you always win the game, right? So with that, I'm going to wrap it up. You're going to see another playthrough from us soon. Maybe next time we'll even make it to the 3rd floor and win the game. Guess you'll have to come and check it out and see. All right, thanks for watching.